Hi, this is Wendy from Wolfwalker Collectibles, and this is another video for my At the Jeweler's Bench series. I have a customer who has sent me this gorgeous bracelet. Definitely looks like Near East, maybe Tibetan, India. Beautiful band, very well constructed. It's got the old-fashioned clip that you pull out like this in order to get it off. And she would very much like to make this part a ring. This part right here. So what we're attempting to do is disconnect this in a way that this can be saved in order to make it a ring, and that this gorgeous bracelet part can be saved so it could be reused. I could scrap it, but I really want to find a way in which I can reuse this part here. So the thing is, how do we disconnect these two pieces in order to save both? And then if I can get this off without hurting this piece or without hurting this piece, then I have to take all these stones out in order to solder a ring shank on the back and then replace all of these stones. So I do have to make sure that when I take each one of these out, I put them back in exactly the same bezels, or else it's not going to work. So I have to do a little layout on paper and make sure this one goes into the right space and this one goes into the right space and this one all the way around, so that when it comes back to replacing them, they do go back into the right area. Also, this is a hollow piece. You can see this is domed, and this area is hollow. So I need to be really careful when I am soldering the ring shank on, because quite often hollow areas will collapse. So it's a crapshoot. I never know. I just try to do my best to make sure it doesn't collapse. Okay, so hi, this is Wendy from Wolfwalker Collectibles, and this is another video for my At the Jeweler's Bench series. I have a customer who has sent me this gorgeous bracelet. Definitely looks like Near East, maybe Tibetan, India. Beautiful band, very well constructed. It's got the old-fashioned clip that you pull out like this in order to get it off. And she would very much like to make this part a ring. This part right here. So what we're attempting to do is disconnect this in a way that this can be saved in order to make it a ring, and that this gorgeous bracelet part can be saved so it could be reused. I could scrap it, but I really want to find a way in which I can reuse this part here. So the thing is, how do we disconnect these two pieces in order to save both? And then if I can get this off without hurting this piece or without hurting this piece, then I have to take all these stones out in order to solder a ring shank on the back and then replace all of these stones. So I do have to make sure that when I take each one of these out, I put them back in exactly the same bezels, or else it's not going to work. So I have to do a little layout on paper and make sure this one goes into the right space, and this one goes into the right space, and this one all the way around, so that when it comes back to replacing them, they do go back into the right area. Also, this is a hollow piece. You can see this is domed, and this area is hollow. So I need to be really careful when I am soldering the ring shank on, because quite often hollow areas will collapse. So it's a crapshoot. I never know. I just try to do my best to make sure it doesn't collapse. Okay, so I needed to let her know if this can even be done. So my first thing was, how can I get these disconnected? Well, ideally, you would like to be able to just get this off. It's hinged. And so there is a pin that runs through all of this. All of these, there's 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3, and a pin was slid through from here all the way through to this side. So you would think, well, that should be easy enough, just remove the pin. Well, Wendy tried to remove the pin. It absolutely is not going to come out. I've tried to do pressure. I tried to drill, broke the drill bit. I said, this is just simply not working. It's just in there too tight. So, and it was like, gosh, I just don't know if this is going to work or not, because I really don't want to destroy this just to make it a ring. I don't want to do that. And I can't destroy this piece to save this. I've got to find a way to save both. So after a lot of looking around and trying, I saw that I would be able to cut off the ring shank. I can cut this piece right here, because I don't need it on the ring shank, but I do need it on the band. So what and how am I going to do this? So as you can see with the band, I cut one off over here, and the band only needs this piece. This piece needs to be kept on the band. So I can also go over here, which you see I've already done. All of these, there's 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3, and a pin was slid through from here all the way through to this side. So you would think, well, that should be easy enough, just remove the pin. Well, Wendy tried to remove the pin. It absolutely is not going to come out. I've tried to do pressure. I tried to drill, broke the drill bit. I said, this is just simply not working. It's just in there too tight. So, and it was like, gosh, I just don't know if this is going to work or not, because I really don't want to destroy this just to make it a ring. I don't want to do that. And I can't destroy this piece to save this. I've got to find a way to save both. So after a lot of looking around and trying, I saw that I would be able to cut off the ring shank. I can cut this piece right here, because I don't need it on the ring shank, but I do need it on the band. So what and how am I going to do this? So before I did the video, I cut that piece off. I need to save this this piece here now can be cut off. I'm going to take this pin out now. I put that in there just so that I could do the video. So now this piece has been saved and I can reuse it. So now what I need to do is I can cut this off because I don't want that on the ring, and then grind that down. And then this one we will grind down. So now that you see what I can do in order to save both pieces, I will show you again. Let's see if I can just pull this pin out now. It's still not going to want to come out. Nope, they're just in there too tight. So I will attempt again to carefully cut this out. There's the pin. There's the nasty little pin that just does not want to come out. I think it's just very old and probably has a lot of junk and crap in there. So I think now what I will do, you can see the pin, but it just does not want to come out. So it's right there. And I tried drilling and that didn't work. So I think what I'm going to do now is get my saw blade and saw it from here down to here so that I can remove this from the bracelet and still keep that bracelet, because I want it to look like this, because then I can save it. So this piece right here needs to be saved. This one is off. Now this one has to come off, but I'm going to go in and saw it because it's just not working with just the clipper like the other side. And again, I don't want to ruin either side. So let's go to the bench and cut that off. Well, I got over here to the bench and I took one more clip and I got it off. So now all I need to do is grind all these areas off. This one here, and then remove the stones, and I can solder a band on this ring, which because of the size of this will be a fairly large band. This is the piece that came off, and I think you can see here there's that pin that was in there. That nasty old pin that just did not want to come out. And it's probably still not going to come out. There's probably all kinds of gunk in there. This side is moving, I think, as you can see. So I'm going to clip this side here and see if I can pull it through the other side. Now, let's hope it's going to give me a break here and come on out. Just make sure. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So, success. I've now got this piece of the bracelet and this piece of the bracelet completely intact. Yay. So I can go ahead and do something else with this beautiful old bracelet. I will put maybe one big giant stone in here. But anyways, that has been saved. And so now I will go in and remove these stones and very carefully make sure that they go back into the positions they are when I take them out, so that they all fit in. Otherwise, it's a disaster trying to put a stone in a bezel and it doesn't belong in there. Okay, so it took me about 20 minutes to get all of these stones out of here. And I had to make sure that I arrange them in the same order that they're going to go back in. And just to show you a few little things about this construction, you can see that these little bezels are nothing but little open fancy wire, all handmade. And that's why they used cardboard instead of sawdust, because the sawdust would have come out of all of these little holes. So all that paper I will be taking out, and I'll replace it with something new, just new paper or new cardboard. And they are very, very fragile, I found out too. So I had to be very careful on how I get them out. And everybody's got a different tool. Jewelers have to be very creative with their tools. This is just an old tool that I used on watch pins right here. Get the watch pins out. And I found out that this end here, which is very thin, very sharp, and also sloped, and has this, which was used for watch bands, works really good for me when I'm trying to remove small stones from small bezels. So now what I'm going to do is go back in, and now I'm going to remove this and this and this and this. These two bars will be left in. There's no reason to spend hours trying to grind that away. And once that's out and then filed down, then I can go ahead and create a band and solder the band on here and replace the stones. So now I'm going to go in and I'll use a Dremel tool like this to grind all of this off. And then I will sand it, and I will come back and show you those results. I changed the wheel, and now I've got a sander. To make everything that's here smooth so it doesn't hurt the client's hand. Like I said before, I'm not going to remove this piece here because it's hollow on the inside. And the more I heat this piece and work on it, the more I'm likely to collapse that. And we don't want that. Repurposing or refinishing an older piece is always fun when you learn an awful lot about the construction of the piece and the styles, for the Tibetan style or the Indian style, the Native American style, or just an American artesian. We all have different tools, access to different tools. And of course, the more gadgets you have, the finer the job. But a lot of the Tibetan and Indian artisans don't have access to a lot of tools. They're using bare minimum. So the work isn't going to be as fine as what you might see here in America, where we have access to that. So now I'm just going to go back in and keep sanding this down and make it look as neat as possible. I use all of these Dremel tools a lot instead of files. Sometimes I have to use files just because it's hard to get in somewhere with the Dremel tool. And the other thing too with repurposing or working on these older pieces is I am not doing a lot of refinishing or trying to make it look brand new, shiny, or perfect condition. it wasn't that way in the first place. And I don't want to do it, really. It is something that, it's just my opinion, but I think I'm taking away from the character of the piece if I try to go in and make this beautiful, shiny, brand new. It just doesn't go along with the piece. So I'm going to make it functional, and I'm going to make sure that it's comfortable. I'm going to make sure there's no sharp edges anywhere. But I'm not going to try to make this look like it's brand new. Alright, so I think you can see that it's all smooth. I will be going back in and doing a triple E on all of this, and then a final polish. I'll use Zam. This is all still intact, no problem so far. I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out what kind of a band I'm going to put on here. And then you will see me again when I'm soldering the band on. So hang out. I'm going to put on a wider band on this ring because it's so big. So I just cut out a piece of sterling silver from this sheet, which is 20 gauge. And then I'm going to give it a hammered finish. So it's on here. And she needs it a 6.5. And it's going to. So we've got the ring now in the pumice. And there is the band that I made. It will be adjustable. So underneath that band is a little sliver of sterling silver solder and a little bit of flux. This is a really, really big piece of silver, and as I told you, it's hollow on the inside, and I've got lots and lots and lots of tiny little bezels on the other side, so I want to be really careful in soldering this piece so that I don't ruin anything on the other side. Keep moving the heat around. The whole piece has got to get hot. I'm looking to see if I can see any solder floating in there yet. And there it goes. I just saw it. Okay. Thank goodness. We've still got everything on the other side that needs to be there. So when you heat these old things, that oxidation, as you can see, it comes out. It burns out, so you've got to go back in and re-oxidize it. Lots of work, a lot of work in doing these. But there is our band on the back. I have to let it soak in the solution, the pickling solution, to get rid of all the black oxidation. And you can see here, this inner ring here is the adjustable part. It's not soldered, only the back side is soldered. So it'll fit her 6.5, but if she needs to make it bigger for another finger, she will be able to do that. So I'm going to let this sit in the pickling solution before I go ahead and do any cleaning and resetting of the stones. So the soldering went great. I did not lose any of the detail. Everything is there. I've just gone in now and oxidized it again because it was quite black when it came in, as it should be. So I'm going to let that oxidation dry. You can see here the ring shank is overlapped a little bit on the inside because the client wants it to be adjustable. So I'm going to let that oxidation dry, and then I will go back in and polish everything, and then we'll reset the stones. So many steps, lots of labor, but she'll get the ring she wants, and we'll still have a bracelet that we can do something else with. So now I'm just going to take off some of the blackening that is here. So it just will have a nice patina, a lot like it had when it came in. And I'm just using a steel brush. I don't want to take it all off. I'm just going to take off some of it, just to highlight the silver again. So I'm just taking a little polishing wheel here and highlighting the very top of these little decorative items here, and taking the oxidation off, which I put on there with liver of sulfur, because it did come in with a blackening agent on it. So I think that's all I'll take off. Then I'll clean it up and put the stones in. Yay! Okay, so we're at the last phase. We're going to go ahead and replace all of these stones here back into their original settings. So I'm going to show you just a few here, and then I will go ahead and do the rest without you because it's going to take a while. So I'm just using a regular bezel pusher, pushing them back into place. This procedure is pretty easy because these bezels are really just thin, flexible wire. And I was able to use some of the old paper that came out of the bottom. So in these coral areas, I am using the original paper. I mean, I'm always going to try to do as much as I can to keep the piece looking as original as possible. Unless the customer is saying, no, I want you to give me a really high polish and no oxidation, no scratches, make it look brand new. In which case I'd probably say no. No, that's not me. I'm not going to do that. I kind of like to keep everything in its original position. Okay, so that was this one here. That was this one here. So now we're going to go down to this one here. I've got to open that up a little bit. Nope, I don't like that. It's still not sitting right. Let's see if I've got it in the wrong one. No, I don't. It must have just come out a lot easier. Okay, let's try this. I'm pretty sure I've got them all in the right place. There we go. I've got to hear a good snap. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing this to get all these back in. I'll just give it a very quick final little bristle brush polish. Where's my bristle brush? So here's a little bristle brush here. I'll put a little bit of Zam on it and I'll just go over the top. And this will be done. Thank you so much for watching this video. And this is Gina Gay's ring. Please go watch her sales. She loves old jewelry and she likes big rings. So when she finds something that she wants to turn into a ring, I try to do my best to accommodate. So this is going to be a beauty. Thank you all. And my next live sale is usually on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I do live sales. I do email sales. I am a custom jeweler of probably 35 years, both fine jewelry, gold and platinum, as well as artistic jewelry. And on my sales, I bring in a lot of my own creations as well, custom orders, artesian pieces. They're usually rather different. I do try to keep my creations a little bit different than most people. All right, I will see you later. Bye.